Good morning, everybody. DMEXCO 2020. Oh, what a year this is. So many things have happened and not all of them are good ones. But for e-commerce, it's been an amazing year. The e-commerce revenues have been fostered by the global pandemic, and this also has been enforced by marketplaces involvement. And these marketplaces have a huge share of the revenues in this year. So let's talk about it, if we are into a global revolution or just an evolution for marketplaces. I'm glad we have a wonderful panel of experts here in this session. Ladies first, of course, I want to start with Karine. Karine Mortier is a very experienced e-commerce manager. She was in 2000, she founded her own fashion e-commerce startup. 2005, she was co-founder of the Belgian e-commerce association, and afterwards she was always an expert for the European Commission. And in 2018 she started her cross-border initiative where already 9,000 plus companies are involved. Good to have you in the board. Oliver Brotman, also an expert for marketplaces. Oliver is the honorary president of the German Federal Association of E-Commerce, the BVOH, and he published a book about marketplaces across the world, which gained a lot of attention. Also in 2018, he founded the Panda Black, and this is an initiative where German products and German retailers find their way to China. And so he has a lot of expertise about that market, and we come to this later. And last not least, Christian Driehaus, a co-founder of Gominga e-services. That's a company that provides technology to manage customer reviews and questions and answers for the digital era. And before that, he was with Amazon and Breuninger. So he is also very well experienced into e-commerce and marketplaces. We want to present you a study that we did together. That's Ecom Consulting. That's the company I founded in 2015. Basically, we are into digital strategy, processes, and organization for retailers and brands. And in the last years, we always had discussions about marketplaces. So our clients, they wanted to either go on marketplaces or they wanted to build up own marketplaces. And unfortunately, there was not much transparency and clarity about what to do and where to go. And often there was a lot of know-how missing. So basically we decided in 2019 to run a research and find out who are the actual players, are there industry-specific marketplaces that not everyone has on his mind, where can I find an overview and what makes marketplace attractive. So this is the first part of the session, and Christian, so please take over and explain us much more.
Thank you, Oliver. So how many marketplaces do you know? That was the initial question that we asked ourselves last year. And when we did the research and found out about the marketplaces in Europe and globally, we very soon decided to categorize them because of the sheer number. So we said 5 categories make sense to cluster them. The first category is B2C, so the biggest and most well-known business to consumer. But in addition to that, we said it makes really sense to have other clusters, for example, social and content commerce, predominantly with very interesting Asian players. Then B2B, so business to business. I guess a big name here is also Amazon Business. C2C, so consumer to consumer. And last but not least, very interesting again, especially in the German-speaking area, price comparison platforms. So if you look at the numbers, the landscape for 2015, you already see then that it's not only Amazon and not only eBay. Even back then, there were quite a few players out there. Some of them we knew, and some of them were even completely new to us, looking at 2015. And if we switch to 2020 for the DACH or GSA, the German-speaking area, you even see now that the number has increased dramatically, and that really, really astonished us to see what happened during those 5 years. And last but not least, looking at the landscape for the global area, I mean, you see it here yourself, the number of logos are really, really amazing. And that means really that for you as a decision maker, as a brand, as a seller, etc., the marketplace situation is really, really complex. It's really very different from country to country, from region to region. And with our study, we try to help you to navigate through this. So in the study, we have 10 findings. I'm not going to go through every finding, so please go to our websites. We'll show that later on to download the full study. But there are more than 900 marketplace domains that we found, many different players, and we summed it up with our findings. I will concentrate now on 3 of the findings. One I touched upon already here, that's the development from 2015 to 2020. But I will speak about the double role of some of the marketplaces. Then I'll give some insight into the generalist versus specialist players. And last but not least, touch upon the product reviews, which we believe are a really crucial success factor. So if we look at the double role, what is a double role? We mean double role when a marketplace provides, on the one hand, the technical platform, and then on the other hand, has its own retail activities. Now, in the press, you often read about Amazon misusing that, misusing the data from sellers and vendors alike for their own purposes. But on a global and also German-speaking landscape here, we found in our study that 30% of all of the platforms, all of the marketplaces have that double role, which leads to many questions. Questions for regulators. If you decide to split up Amazon, that might even then affect other players, depending on the region again. And also for brands, you really need to consider which marketplace you want to partner with, which marketplace you want to deal with. Because even if you believe today, you know, those smaller marketplaces are the nice guys, maybe in 5 years' time, they have collected all your data and they will not be so nice anymore. So that was one of the interesting findings. If we go to the next slide then, we found that there are quite big differences from region to region. If you look at if the marketplace is more a generalist, like again, Amazon or eBay, or if there are product specific segments. And on a global landscape, we found that 55% of all the players are generalists, whereas in the German speaking region, that's only 44%. Sport, fashion, lifestyle are the second biggest share. And this is, again, an interesting finding, because if you look at country by country, or like Europe, North America, etc., you really see that wherever Amazon is not present, the local generalists are strong. So examples here are in Poland with Aleco, or in Switzerland with Galaxus. And again, this leads to more questions. If you think about expanding internationally as a brand, what is, or which is the right marketplace for you then? Are there any niche players in your product segment that might even be better than the big ones? So one of our clients, for example, at Gominga in the bicycle industry, they say, okay, Amazon is great for brand and reputation purposes, but our industry-specific partners like Rose Bikes in Germany or Chain Reaction Cycles are even more interesting for us if it really is about sales, etc. So coming to the last finding I want to share today, product reviews, the secret factor for success. So everybody knows that user-generated content is really, really important, but not all of the marketplaces offer that functionality, and we believe they really miss out on that opportunity, and the opportunity is then missed out for all the participants, the user, the brand, the seller, the vendor, and the marketplace itself. So we believe this really is a huge opportunity for all of them, because it enables an interaction and a community effect for all. Right, so to sum it up, our conclusion of the study is that marketplaces do dominate the e-commerce industry. And again, when we started the study, that was pre-COVID-19. And as Oliver said in the introduction, I think this really has increased over the past few months. There are further changes in the market, in the structures and the rule of the games. And what's important, what we really want to stress, is that marketplace business, it's not just about another distribution channel. It's about branding and much, much more. So the growth and the number of marketplaces really requires a clear strategy and a coherent implementation. And what we always like to say, this is not the job of your working student or the juniors in the team. This is really the CEO's role. So I want to conclude here, and thanks very much for the attention so far.
Yeah, thank you, Christian, for these great insights. And the last point I can only underline from our project experience, this is the most important factor, that you really bring your organization to the table and bring the top management to actually decide what to do and where to go. Actually, there's so much more content in the study that we are happy to share with all of you. So there's a free download possibility, or just contact us. You will see our mails in the presentation. But now I want to know from the experts, basically, how do you look onto the marketplace business within the e-commerce world we're talking about? First of all, I want to give the question to Karine and ask her about her assumption of the situation with marketplaces. Is Corona a booster for marketplaces in general, or is it only for Amazon? And is this already the peak of marketplaces, or do we see only the beginning? So I think that is very interesting for our audience. Karine, please comment.
Well, in fact, first of all, I would like to say that the pandemic has forced many brands to rethink their business model. This is valid for both blue chip companies as well as SMEs. Many have made the move to e-commerce either partly or exclusively to make sure they can still reach customers. Some are even shifting to reach end customers directly rather than through third party. Some are launching their own marketplace like Manor in Switzerland. Some are starting to sell on other marketplaces than Amazon, or just starting to sell for the first time on marketplaces. So for most brands, there is also an opportunity to expand in new countries. And I think that from day one, you should really consider to become global, but start with an appropriate strategy. Most retailers think in terms of regional territories like DACH, Benelux, or the Nordic, or language clusters, but you need to go beyond and target strategically depending on your sector and type of customers. So a cross-border strategy should become a priority from day one. As European, let's move faster and get global as quick as possible. By the way, I have actually seen from our research at Cross Border Commerce Europe that Luxembourg is a key European market for cross-border e-commerce. It's even leading currently in terms of cross-border web visitors, confidence level, and cross-border market share. So I'm sure you didn't know about that.
Okay. And I think you brought us also some numbers from your cross-border experience. Would you like to share and explain these to us?
Well, let's have indeed a zoom on cross-border e-commerce EU figures. So the total cross-border e-commerce market in Europe, EU 28, represents a turnover of 143 billion in 2019, excluding travel, of which 59% is generated by marketplaces. Amazon has the lion's share with a turnover of 32 billion in 2019, which is almost a quarter of the market, up 18.5% compared to 2018. What is interesting is that marketplaces with European capital, led by Vinted, GSA, Farfetch, Zalando, and Joom, represent 11% of the market, which grew by 17% compared to 2018. And it is expected that in 2025, marketplaces will represent 65% of cross-border online sales in Europe, which is huge.
Wow, these are impressive figures. Thanks for sharing these with us. Oliver, coming back to the general question, do we see the peak of marketplaces or only the beginning? Maybe you can share some insights also from the BVOH, and please give us your view.
Yeah, thank you. So I wouldn't say it's a beginning, it's a new wave. And because of the pandemic, we have just saw that a lot of new users started with buying and searching on the internet. And so many of our retailers told us that they are new users and they are buying again and again after they have seen that it was successful. A lot of people didn't start it because they were not sure if the payment works, if the shipment works. But right now they have seen if you want to get something, you can get it on the internet, on the marketplaces. And so it's not only Amazon who is growing very fast and very huge in the COVID-19 area, but also other marketplaces and even smaller ones. So I think it's the big winner of the pandemic time is the marketplaces, because at the end, it's easy. You get a lot of products on a marketplace, and you just have to open one account as a buyer, and you can get more or less everything. But at the end, also smaller marketplaces, like for example, Mano Mano, do-it-yourself marketplace from France, who's growing through Europe and also in Germany, Real.de and Otto, they did a really good job. And there are a lot of new come to the area, like MediaMarkt and others. So at the end, for a marketplace, if you are interested in building or a new marketplace, their own marketplace, at the end, I think it's very important if you are able to get the traffic of the users. Yeah. So if you have organic traffic, then it could be successful. But if you want to start by your own, just because of a brand like Hertie.de, who restarted the marketplaces, but you couldn't get organic traffic, I don't think that this will be successful. So if you have a lot of organic traffic, then it might be very interesting to think about building up a marketplace. But if you have to buy all the traffic, I don't think that would really be successful.
Thanks. That's really interesting perspective on that one. It's all about traffic. That's also why we see so many brands going to marketplaces, because actually there's where the brand can use and benefit the traffic that's already existing. So Christian, from your experience with brands in the last years, also working on their sites, can you share some of your insights? What are very good success stories?
Yeah, I can just underline what Oliver just mentioned. I mean, first of all, it's all about traffic. So which marketplace has all the traffic, has all the users, the consumers, and the brands that we work with, they really, I think they have like a two-way approach. They work with the biggest marketplaces, depending on the region, that, you know, might be Amazon. And then they often look at their industry champions. That is, first of all, to diversify risk, obviously. I mean, you can or you should not only work with one marketplace. And these industry-specific ones really enable you to get even better in touch with your target audience, because usually there you will find the consumers that are your best customers. And also for the brands, the marketplace trend offers a huge opportunity in terms of direct to consumer, because they really are able to interact even more direct with their consumers. For example, with review management, with Q&A, with that community effect. So I think these are two trends that we see, you know, partnering with one or two big ones, and then look at the industry specific ones, be it DIY, be it fashion, be it sporting goods, etc., and then being able as a brand to communicate directly with consumers.
Well, thank you, Christian. Let's switch to China. That's a very important and relevant market. And Oliver, you're really an expert for the China perspective on marketplaces. So what do we see in China that we will see over here in the next 3 years? Please share some of your insights.
Yes, okay. Of course, China is a huge market, and it looks like that it's going up to be the biggest e-commerce market in the world. So as maybe everybody knows, there are big marketplaces like Tmall. It's one of the Alibaba Group's marketplaces, or JD.com, Jingdong. But at the end, what we have seen in the last year is that, for example, a marketplace like Pinduoduo is growing up very, very fast. So Pinduoduo is more coming from the social part, and they are started with videos, and now they are moving to a marketplace. So and they are doing very big business right now, but at the end with more product there with a less quality. So I don't think that right now it's really a good idea for brands to go there, but it's very important to have a look on this. And this is, for example, also what you have to do with China. You have to be aware that there will be new marketplaces every year, and they are growing very, very fast, because we have just in China, we have more than 800 million consumers on the internet. And of course, this is really a huge consumer base. But at the end, of course, everybody's also asking me, what about the Chinese marketplaces in Europe? Are they coming to Europe with Tmall or the other ones? I would say they're still here, and they're still here with AliExpress. So AliExpress is also a marketplace from Alibaba Group. And if you look on Spain, Italy, Poland, Russia, AliExpress is really the biggest, or more or less the biggest marketplace there. So and that's very important to have a look on this, especially after Alibaba opened up the marketplace for other countries, and then also only be for Asian retailers. So right now also Spanish retailers can sell on AliExpress, and I'm sure they will open up this platform.
So thank you, Oliver. There's exciting times to come, and of course China is always relevant to be in focus for everybody. Let's have a last quick statement on retailers' perspective. With all the brands looking into marketplaces and retailers also trying to become marketplaces themselves, would you rather be in a brand's position or in a retailer's position right now? Karine, please explain a little bit from your experience.
Well, as a retailer or brand, I would analyze in depth a marketplace strategy, selling globally to third parties, but also creating a real own brand marketplace to offer products or services to third parties. But why launching your own marketplace? Well, first, you will capture a greater share of the wallet, meaning that your customer will be able to buy more complementary products than those you offer today. Second, you will drive new revenue stream, expanding your product assortment and establishing new revenue without the costs and risk. And third, you will delight your customer satisfaction, as we have seen with Christian, building loyalty by becoming a one-stop shop for everything customer needs. And fourth, you will defend your market share and customer base against Amazon, which is getting stronger every day. Remember, almost a quarter of the market. And at last but not least, you will disrupt. You will just enjoy this very special pandemic moment, and you will really go for it.
Thank you, Karine. These are good final words for our session, because unfortunately we are running out of time. There's so much more we could discuss and would like to discuss with all of you, but I hope you gained a lot of information and some insights, and so we are more talking about the evolution in the marketplace world. And for the DMEXCO 2020, we wish you best of luck. Hope to see you next year live in person, and of course stay healthy, all of you. Thank you to the panel, and goodbye everyone.